Whoa! Welcome to Good Burger 2, home of the Good Burger 2, the Mega Burger. Can I take your order? Anyway, this is Emily, your Coven leader for the Azura Media Club, home of the Bad Girl Coven. We're talking Good Burger 2 here. The sequel to an all-time classic 90s film that I loved and appreciated. So therefore, the sequel made in 2023 feels like all of the sequels made in 2023. It has some callbacks, it's nostalgic or whatever. They want that to they want you to be like, oh hey, I remember that from the first thing. But it's like they kind of go their own direction too. They don't hang too hard um, on all of the nostalgia, but they do a lot of callbacks, spoilers for Good Burger 2. Like the villain lady, she's like Kurt's younger sister or something. It's like, of course it would be like a family thing. That's the only way we can have a Good Burger sequel, is if some mega corporation is trying to take down Good Burger again, right? Like that's the plot we have to do because Good Burger 1 did that plot. So, in that sense, it feels a lot like a lot of the modern sequels now to old movies. Except for I feel like Top Gun Maverick. I feel like that one did it well. It played the balance, and it actually made a movie better, I feel like, than the original. But, Good Burger 2, it's more of an on-par sort of sequel, or like just below, a little bit below the original, obviously. It's like, it may be a lot below the. I don't know. I'm not like saying it's a bad movie or anything. I'm just saying like you're living up to Good Burger here. Like for me, that's like a film that is like astronomically high up. That movie, was there for me in hard times, and I would laugh at it whenever. Just when I wanted to laugh, when I wanted to watch a good, hour and a half comedy movie that I knew was gonna make me feel good, Good Burger was there. It's like Good Burger 2, it's a sequel to that movie. It still has a lot of the same humor, but I don't. There's something like I feel like Good Burger is had like a more simplistic sort of premise set up. Everything was just. Then they do this like Good Burger 2, and it's like this whole conspiracy through the world sort of thing. And it's just like, it's a lot. And I know you want to go above and beyond for your sequel, but like, I'm just saying it's like, that's, it's a lot, It's just, that's all I'm saying. It's just like, yeah, it, it, it tries to be respectful of the original, but also forges its own path towards the future. And, I'm glad that they got this movie made, because I know they've been trying to work on it for years and get the rights to do it and stuff. And it is a pretty good movie overall, I would say. It's just nice to see them back together. Keenan and Kel, Ed, and Dex there. But it's also like they're also kind of just doing the first one again, but on a bigger scale. Like, Dex makes a bad business decision again, and he gets Good Burger sold, and then so he gets screwed out of like the original Good Burger, which is like Ed's entire thing. Like he owns it now, and like he's running it and all this stuff. And he's got like a family and stuff now. There's like, how many kids does he have? Like 8 or 9 kids and like a wife and stuff. And Roxanne's in there to be like the babysitter or whatever, because like we have to have her in there again, because she was in the first one. So like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't want to say it feels pandery because it's not that pandery, but there are those moments in there, and you definitely think like, oh hey, yeah, they're obviously calling back to the first one here because that's, we love the first one, and that's kind of, but you have to do that as a sequel to it. I understand that, you draw on things, but just kind of felt like cameos. It's like, and then there was like this whole scene where it's like, oh, maybe we can get Good Burger back by having like a lot of celebrities sing a song or something, and it's like they get all these like, I don't know, okay celebrities, like, you know, because Shaq was in the first one, and like Sinbad, I guess, or something, like, I don't know, stuff like that. So yeah, and you know, and then of course, as a movie in 2023, we have to do all this commentary about uh political and like, you know, economical issues and stuff. It's like this whole thing about AI replacing like fast food workers and stuff, like robots replacing humans, that kind of thing. Like the first movie didn't have like that kind of message. I mean, I guess there was like the whole corporate greed angle from Mondo Burger, but you know, they're the bad guys. They're trying to make a burger to put out this family-owned restaurant out of business. I mean, that's what's happening here too, but there's more layers to it, you know. It's like an onion, you know. Um, but yeah, I mean, like that's all fine. I'm not like railing against it. It's just like I don't know that that's as interesting of a premise as like this original premise. It's kind of like Good Burger is like the origin story, and the next one is like, you know, it's trying to like expand this universe or something. It's not actually doing that. But, you know, like that's kind of how I feel about some of like superhero movies and stuff. Like usually the origin story is like, man, this one's really good. Like, I mean, I know I'm in the minority here, but I prefer Spider-Man 1 over Spider-Man 2 and 3. I mean, I don't think anybody really prefers Spider-Man 3 over the other two. Actually, there are people out there. I think Shea-Frilla's Productions or whatever, they fucking prefer Spider-Man 3 as the best one. So, or their favorite one or something. But anyway, so like, you know, it's like that, or like, to me, like, I think the first Captain America is like the best Captain America movie. Well, probably the best Marvel movie, aside of like maybe Endgame or something. And even that, like, I feel like Captain America, I don't know, I just really like that one. My point being, the first movie, it was a 90s movie that had its charm at the time. It felt like it really captured that era. And I mean, this movie does sort of capture this era in that sense too, but I mean, as a sequel to this like 90s sort of movie that is very nostalgic and has like this simple, more less like polluted like premise and vibe. It's very focused, is I think what I'm trying to say here. Whereas this movie feels like it's all over the place, you know, like they're doing all sorts of things, which is odd to say because I know the first movie is kind of random sometimes too, but it always comes back to the core thing, you know. It's like, yeah, we're always doing stuff in this movie to come back to the core thing, but it doesn't feel as cohesive. It just like there's all these random little things happening to like pull together this bigger narrative, you know. It's like in the first one, it's like you get it. Like, I know it's a little odd. It's like you get sent to this asylum or whatever. Like, what does that have to do with a burger joint? Yeah, okay, fair enough. But, and they even call back to that, the dance scene from that, like when they're trying to distract the guards or whatever. It's like, you can do a sequel. You don't have to call back to all these moments from the original by remaking them in new fashion, and that's kind of maybe the problem, is it sort of feels like a remake in a sense, which is not. Obviously it's a sequel, but they're remaking moments. They're trying to recreate the moments from the first one that don't need to be. I would have rather they just gone in their own direction, like when Dex like kind of screws everyone out of the deal there, and they all sort of realize this. There's just a moment. There's just a moment where you feel like, oh, maybe everyone's gonna kind of abandon him for a moment. You know, even Ed, who stood by his side the whole time, is like, you know, there's some doubt there. And it's like, wow, okay, this is kind of, I'm waiting for the pin to drop here. But they just kind of accept him back and go along the play. Now, that has to do with Ed's great speech, like, hey, we can't give up. That's the whole speech. That's the whole entire speech. And then there's powerful music playing, and that gets everyone all riled up. But anyway. I don't know, there were some funny things, like Fizz was locked in the freezer for, like, 23 years or something. That's kind of a funny joke. It's like, but he's not in the rest of the movie. It's inconsistent. You see what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. It's just odd. Like, you know, you just figure, like, the actor didn't want to come back or something. Like, you know, most of the original cast isn't back. So you're just like, oh, okay, whatever. You know, like, but then there he is, and it's like, oh, hey, that's kind of funny, but, like, I don't know. It's fine. It's a fine movie. It's great. It was entertaining. I had a good time watching it, but, you know, it's the slightest bit not as good as the original. No. I mean, it's just not, it's not on that level, you know? And maybe with time it'll, you know, marinate to that level, but I don't really see it kind of getting there, you know? Like, I mean, I saw the original one in a different time as a child, you know? Does that mean I'm, like, a nostalgic fool for it? Hey, maybe. But I think also it's just got, like I said, this more focused sort of vibe and premise to it. And I hate to say it, maybe that had something to do with Dan Schneider's writing. I don't know. I still thought this was well written to a point, but, you know, it's just a different vibe, you know? It's trying to go for the same vibe, but it's done differently. That's kind of, I think, the core problem, is they're trying to rely too much on what came before, rather than just making an entertaining sequel in its own right, you know? And that's what I really would have preferred if they kind of had gone their own direction, in a sense. And maybe this was kind of their vision, their direction, but it just, it feels too insistent on the first one, and maybe that's just the problem of making a sequel. But I've seen so many, I think the point of a sequel, and this does do that to an extent, it just doesn't do it in a, I guess, the direction I was expecting, you know, and that's fine, you know, go in your own direction, I'm totally for that, but, like, the point of a sequel is to expand the world and build on what we've established in the original. It has the Ghostbusters 2 kind of issue, where we're doing the same problems as the original. It's not like Dexter can have new problems. I mean, they are new problems, but they're core and reliant on the old problems. He didn't really learn anything after the first one. Which kind of makes the first one, you know, feel less good, when you kind of think he learns his lesson there at the end, you know, because he, like, tears up the contract and he says, no, we're just buds now, and it's like, oh, okay, great, he learned his lesson. He learned that, you know, he doesn't need to be corporate greed and you know, make all this money, and in the first one he had a reason to be doing that, and then now it's like, it's just some kind of vague premise, like, I owe this businessman money or something, like, okay. I mean, they don't really hang on that. In the first one, it's a whole thing, you know, he crashes into the guy at the beginning. They do a scene where he's like, $1,900, you know, like, that shit, all of that, and then it's constantly talked about throughout the movie. It is the core motivation for that character to begin with, and then he starts realizing, hey, this Ed guy and this girl I like because I'm at this job, you know, and it's kind of, in that sense, a reflection on life, you know. I don't want to say Good Burger's like this deep philosophical movie, but it's like, you know, like, life throws you curveballs, especially when you're, like, just an arrogant kid, you know. You learn, you know, because the world is harsh, and he had to get that summer job. He wanted to just relax all summer, right? But he had to get that summer job. It's good writing, because it's like, he gets that summer job. He's not happy with it, but he gets invested there. You know, he likes Ed. He likes Monique. You know, he likes the other employees. He gets there in the end. We see him grow. It feels organic. Here, it's like it's just the same thing again, but now they're older, so he should definitely know better than to screw over his best friend, who he hasn't talked to in 5 years, by the way. So, I don't know. In that sense, it's like, it's got this even more, like, real element to it. The first one was more about, like, earlier in life problems. I have to get a summer job, you know, like, I gotta pay this guy back. That burger joint across the, way is gonna close us down. I mean, in a sense, that's kind of like a modern problem. That's a timeless problem, I feel like, but I don't know. It's complicated, my feelings on this film. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I know it's like I'm getting into all sorts of different directions here, but it's just and I knew going in it would never be as classic as the original, but I think that I did enjoy it. It's just, it could never live up to Good Burger 1, because Good Burger 1, it means a lot to me. It's a special movie. If it was from a different time, maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's because they could get away with, better jokes back then, or whatever. Like that whole comedy thing, the death of the comedy. I still think this was good. I still think it felt like it had a lot of the same humor as the original, but done in a different direction. Because they had to go all sorts of random directions. So it was less about, like, working at a fast food place. It was more just about everything. Life, and, you only spend, like, so little amount of time in Good Burger. A lot of the other parts of the movie are branching out to other places, and that should be the way to kind of expand your universe there, but I don't know, wasn't the, like, part of what made the original movie great, like, the fact that it was about teenagers working at a restaurant. They learned to, go above and beyond. I don't know. It's just, it's a different vibe, and it's a modern kind of reinterpretation of a classic movie from 20-something years ago, so. But as a sequel to that movie, I think it does a decent enough job. I liked it. I thought it was good. I think it's flawed in a couple of ways, and I think, I don't know. I don't know if it lived up to the potential of a sequel to such a great movie. But it's like I said, I don't think it's bad. I think they definitely did a good enough job for and having this movie like 23 years later. I mean, I guess that's the other part, is just like, okay, so maybe that's it. Because, like, Good Burger is such a standalone movie. There didn't have to be a sequel, but they made a sequel to it, So, with that knowledge, with that premise of there actually being something now, like a sequel, for years it's like, oh yeah, they should have done a sequel, but it's like, what would that even be? That was just us talking out our ass, right? Like, it'd be great to see something more to that, But in a sense, it's like we didn't really even need it. But I was greedy. I had that corporate greed too. I was just like, yeah, Good Burger sequel. I want that, Me wants that. Give me the Good Burger sequel. I will eat that, yes. And so, I don't know. I know I've, like, gone on and I've friggin', like, just nailed into it about, like, how it's not as good as the original, but I do think there are redeeming qualities to it. It's a good movie, I swear. I know it doesn't sound like I think that it's a good movie, but I swear it is. It was fun. I had a good time with it. It just can't live up to the original, and that's a hard bar to set. You know, it's like I was gonna say it's like if they made a sequel to Pee-wee's Big Adventure. They did do that. They made two of them. Guess what? They're not as good as the original. I mean, universally, everyone thinks Big Top Pee-wee is not as good as the original, and I haven't seen it yet. But you know, someday for the channel, you know, I'll do it. And then that other Pee-wee's movie, whatever that was, I can't even remember. I saw it once. I thought that was pretty good. I mean, maybe Good Burger 3 will be the Pee-wee's holiday or whatever of Good Burger movies. Apparently they're going to space in the third one. Joke there at the end in the credits, so. I liked it, but, you know, like I said, I don't think it lives up to the original, so do with that as you may, you know? I think it's worth watching. It definitely feels like a modern interpretation of, like, a Good Burger thing, with some modern problems thrown in there, and I think it's charming in its own right. But it can never quite capture the charm of the original. It's much like Star Trek, the Next Generation. It's never quite as good with whatever the line from Wayne's World is. I have no Star Trek knowledge, so anyway, you know what I mean. It's there's another good example, like Wayne's World too. I mean, Wayne's World's a great movie. It's like they did a sequel, you know? It's like, it's the typical sequel thing. It's like, it's good, but it's not as good as the original, you know? So, but it's more, and I like that, you know? I definitely don't discourage there being a Good Burger 3. I think if you do 4, that's too much. Stop doing 4s. Frozen 4, stop it. Stop it. You haven't even put your third movie out yet. Don't announce 4. It's like if they announced Sonic 4 after they announced fucking Sonic 3 like a while back. And it's like, stop it. Don't get ahead of yourself. You know? I know Frozen's big, but really? Frozen 4? Can we stop it already? Toy Story 4? They're gonna make Inside Out 4 someday? God. Get out of here with that. Stop it. Have some self-control, damn it. Fucking corporate greed and shit, man. Anyway, Good Burger 2 was actually pretty good. Just go watch it. It's decent, I swear. That's it. I don't know. I'm gonna give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I don't know what you all expect from me at this point. A review. I did that, kind of, right? I guess. So, yeah. Stick around, subscribe, join the Bad Girl Coven, you know, magic comes from the heart and all that, and, hopefully not for the last time. Welcome to the Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?